All right, guys, today we are going to break down one of the best crankbaits that has come to the market over the last few years. This is the Deps Evoke. Ever since this has been on the market, it has become one of our favorite baits to throw. So today we're going to break down what makes an Evoke so good, how to use it, so hopefully you guys can catch more fish. So if you're ready, let's do it. Welcome to the Hookup Tackle. The Hookup Tackle is the world's largest showcase of Megabass products, featuring baits and colors not found at any other dealer. The Hookup also offers a wide display of OSP, Evergreen, Deps, Lucky Craft, Jackal, and many more. The Hookup Tackle is owned and operated by family, is staffed by guides and verified tackle nerds who love helping anglers elevate their craft. If you're in the Phoenix area, we'd love to have you stop by our showroom and check out the wonderful world of Megabass and the Hookup for yourself. If you shop online, there are almost 10,000 SKUs of Megabass products alone, with hundreds of other companies and new products being added daily. So next time you're looking for that hard-to-find bait, that color your fish have never seen before, or maybe you just want to elevate your game, look at thehookuptackle.com. All right, welcome back, my friends. I am Ben with the Hookup Tackle, aka the Tackle Otaku, being joined, of course, by my buddy Jeffrey the King. We're the Hookup Tackle USA. So, Jeff, today we are breaking down one of my favorite crankbaits, one of your favorite crankbaits as well.
Yep.
This is a crankbait that, admittedly, Griff got me into. I hate giving that guy any credit, but truth be told, he gets the credit. So, this is the Deps Evoke crankbait, one of, without question in my mind, one of the best square bills on the market. Now, we talk about square bills a lot. We talk about how actions and deflections and vibrations, like, it changes from bait to bait to bait. And a lot of baits are great. A lot of baits have lanes that they're really good in. So understanding what each bait does can really help you apply the bait properly and catch more fish. Now, this is one of those crankbaits that I just end up gravitating towards, right? So like in my world, when I'm reaching for a square bill, I'm either grabbing an LC or an Evoke. Like, that's almost always my starting point. And I started thinking about it the other day, like, why am I gravitating towards these? And so that's what came to mind. Like, we should make a topic out of this and just start a conversation to make sure that we can highlight what this bait does so well so that you guys can enjoy it as well. So first off, let's talk about the Evoke really quick. The Evoke comes in several different sizes, right? So the smallest size is a 1.2. And then there is a 1.8, there is a 2.0, there's a 3.0, up to the biggest one, the 4.0. Now, the size is in reference to the meter dive depth that it's targeted at, right? So the 1.2 is designed to go 1.2 meters, or somewhere in that 3 to 4 foot range, right? 1.8 meters, 2.0, 2 meters, so on and so forth, right? So as you get to the big one, the 4.0, it's designed to go 4 meters, right? Which is going to be 12, 13, 14 feet. So this, even though it's a square bill, can get down into deep water. You can grind it along ledges. You can bang it over rock piles in deeper structure the same way you can with the smaller ones in shallower water. Now, of course, the size of the body is going to change as we go up in meter depth as well. So for instance, the 1.2 is a smaller body than the 2.0. So everything adjusts, gets a little bit bigger, a little bit deeper, a little bit bigger, a little bit deeper. So you can kind of mix and match your water, your cover, and what you need the bait to do. Now, this is the brainchild of Kenta Kimura, who's probably the most famous Japanese angler at this point in time, I would say so. Right? So an amazing angler from Japan, fished the Bassmaster Elite Series out here as well. He created this bait with the idea that, you know, for years and years, balsa was the, standard in crankbaits. And balsa wood crankbaits were popular because of their buoyancy and their ability to deflect off cover, their high float ability. But one of the challenges to balsa is that they're very inconsistent. So you might get one bait and it performs and the fish bite it and it tracks true, and then you go to buy another one and it never tracks true, or the fish don't eat it because it just behaves differently. And there was really no consistency to the process. So Kenta and Deps sent out to create a balsa-like bait that could be very, very consistent, and this is the bait they came up with. Now, one of the challenges that they had was, up until this point, most crankbaits have an internal body structure, right? There's some kind of reinforcement between the two walls of the crankbait. And what that does is it traps air either in the front of the bait or the back of the bait or the middle of the bait or wherever those little walls are. Deps wanted to create just one structure with no internals, right? So that it just created one air pocket so that it had the same buoyancy of a wood bait. So that's what they created here. And Jeff, I'm going to see if I can get this. Let's see if you can see through. Shine some light through here and see if you guys can see it. So if you look inside the bait, it's just all one piece. There's no walls. There's no, internal compartments. It's just all one air pocket. And what that does is it helps the bait be extremely buoyant. It helps it deflect off cover. Really, I would say unlike any other bait. I would venture to say this is the best cover deflection square bill on the market. Jeff, I know you throw it a lot. What would you say, cover deflection wise, how this ranks?
I mean, comparatively from some of the other crankbaits that I fished throughout the years, that one just blows me away. It's like you can literally watch it go through a tree and just not get snagged, while some of the other ones will get snagged and you're like, what is up with this bait? And it really is like that balsa style where it does bounce off just super, super well. It's mind-blowing.
And Griff, I gave you props. You weren't here to hear it, thank God. But you introduced me to this bait. What are your feelings about the cover deflectiveness of this bait as compared to a traditional square bill?
Oh, it's great because it floats so hard, right? So it bounces off cover a lot faster than most baits do, and a lot higher, so it's pretty dope.
Yeah, so this is a bait that I literally look for cover to put it into. A lot of times, especially when you're using a crankbait and treble hooks, you try to put it on the outside of a piece of cover, or you try to put it around a piece of cover, and if it happens to hit, you're hoping that the bait kind of deflects up and over. This is one of those baits where you're actually trying to put it like right in the middle of the tree, right, and have it bang around and bounce around down there, because it really doesn't snag, knock on wood. Of course, I say that in the first cast, now it's gonna snag, right? But it really is that good at cover deflection. The other thing that the Evoke does so well is it vibrates incredibly hard. So a lot of crankbaits will have different, either tight movements, wide movements, different vibrations under the water. As you go up in size with the Evoke, it literally feels like you're fishing like a jackhammer. You can literally feel your rod vibrating, and when you get even to the big 4.0, it vibrates so hard. I mean, it doesn't crank hard like a 10XD. It just has such a hard vibration under the water that your rod is literally just pulsing in your hand. So it gives off a vibration without needing any internal rattles, right? So it's creating a sound that's unlike anything else. It's giving you great cover deflection, and it's super easy to fish. So let's just break down the sizes and how we put them to use. And again, really quick, because this is a Kenta design, he is also sponsored by Ryugi. All of these come with Ryugi trebles on them. So this is one of those baits that you buy it, you take it out of the package, and you tie it on. Right? You don't need to change hooks. You don't need to adjust anything with this bait. Just tie it on, use it, and you will catch fish. So here we go. The 1.2 and the 1.8. These are the two that I will use really anytime I'm fishing a pond, shore fishing, anytime that I just want to kind of beat the bank. These are money crankbaits. If you guys are fishing from shore, you know how important it is to not snag. Right? It's so frustrating when you snag on the bottom. This is an amazing bait that deflects over everything. It will eliminate most of those snags for you. So any bank beating that I'm doing, the 1.2 or the 1.8, are in my arsenal. I'll just utilize the 1.8 when I want to fish just a slight bit deeper. I'll utilize the 1.2 if I'm just like burning bank, throwing parallel to banks, keeping it over grass, that kind of stuff. But both great at cover deflection, so that's kind of where I go with that. If I'm fishing, more of a bigger body of water, the 2.0 is my favorite one by far. This is like the ultimate, it just kind of does everything really well. If I don't want it to get down to 2 meters, I want it to stay up a little higher, I can just go to 18 or 20 pound line and it'll keep it up a little bit more. If I want it to get even deeper, I can go to lighter line, it'll get down a little bit deeper, but it's just the perfect size for bigger water. So it's 66.5 millimeters, 18 grams. That's how it specs out. So, a little over half an ounce, whereas the 1.2, to spec that guy out for you, there's the 1.2, 55 millimeters and 11 grams, so about 3/8 of an ounce, okay? So a little bit different in size. Now, if I'm fishing anything with a ledge, right, so a flat that's got a break, or maybe I'm just trying to throw down a bank and just kind of grind a certain water level, that's where the 4.0 can come into play. But this is a big crankbait, 100 millimeters, it weighs 56 grams. Right? So you're getting a really big bait, a 2-ounce crankbait that you're chucking out there. So you have to be prepared for it if you want to go play. But they will smoke this thing when they're feeding on gizzard shad, herring, bigger threadfin, because you can present a bait into places that other anglers aren't going to present it to. So it could be a great option there as well. All right, so why don't we go actually use some of these? Let me show you the rods, the reels, the line. Let me show you how we're setting this up. Let's cut to the water, show you guys how to implement the Evoke. I know you guys are gonna love it. I hope you enjoy this and utilize it and catch more fish. Let's get on the water. All right, guys, so now that you know why we love the Evoke and how good the Evoke is, let's talk about the setup that we use to throw it, and I will show you guys a couple of ideas on how we implement it. So, first off, as we discussed, there's 5 different sizes of Evoke. So the main ones that we're gonna throw all the time are the 1.2, the 1.8, and the 2.0. Those are the 3 that are the easiest to throw. Those are the 3 that are going to dive in that meter rating, right? So that 3 to 6 feet, so we can grind them like you would a traditional square bait. They're just gonna have a different action, a harder vibration, and that great buoyancy, right? The 3.0 and 4.0 get a little bit more technical. They're gonna be diving deeper, they're gonna vibrate incredibly hard, and you're gonna need a different setup and different line for those. So, why don't we start with those big ones? On those bigger ones, the 4.0, that's always going on my Tequila Baccarat, Zillion HD, 18 or 20 pound line for me, and it's a bait that I'm kind of just burning down ledges. I'm fishing it more like a deep crank than a true, square bill or shallow crank. So for me, that's kind of the approach on that 3.0 and 4.0. It's an amazing bait when they want something big and fast, but for normal fishing, right? Normal conditions, we're just gonna kind of run the bank, or maybe you're a shore angler, right? And you're at a pond like what we're at now. The 1.2, 1.8, and 2.0 are gonna be your baits of choice. So I throw all 3 of those on the same setup. This is a Destroyer Madbull. This is kind of my go-to for square bills and reaction baits like this. I throw it on a Steez A, either a 7-to-1 or an 8-to-1. I like the higher gear ratios because I like to give these baits a ton of speed. And this is a bait that you can fish as fast as you want without it rolling, without it getting all wonky on you. You can totally burn it, okay? Typically I'm throwing on 16 to 20 pound line. Now you can use the line here to dictate the depth of the bait. So, if 16 is standard, right, then the bait's gonna get down 1.2 meters or 1.8 meters or 2.0 meters as you go through the Evoke series. So if you want this 1.2 meter bait to not quite go so deep, then go from 16 to 18 or even to 20, and it'll keep it up a little bit higher. If you want to get a little bit more depth, then drop down in size. You could go to a 14 or a 12 or even a 10 if you're really daring. But what's going to happen is you're going to be grinding these crankbaits a lot into rocks, into trees, into obstacles. So the lighter the line you go, the less it's going to withstand all the abuse, right? It's going to nick up a little bit more, and it's going to get relatively weak. So I'd recommend staying in as high a line as you can get away with. Now, One of the great things about the Evoke, as I mentioned earlier, is it comes stock with these great Ryugi trebles. So you don't have to change any of the hardware out. You literally just tie it on and go. So let's just demonstrate a couple things. If you guys find yourself in a position where you're going to be fishing from shore like we are here in this little pond, the Evoke is a great one because of that buoyancy that the bait has. So, you know, what I'll normally do is I'll normally just start and I'll kind of fish the bank out and I'll kind of fan cast around, but I'm always going to start tight, right? So I'm going to throw straight to the bank. I want this bait kind of grinding in the rocks, kind of grinding on the bottom as we move. And as I feel it bounce around, that's what I want. I want to just keep moving it through those bounces and keep grinding it. Now, I will pause it and let it float back up if I feel like it's going to get in a situation where it's going to snag, right? But as long as I'm kind of feeling it grind right now, I'm just going to keep going. And you can see, I don't know if Jeff, you can see the rod tip, but you might be able to see how hard it's vibrating down there. So the Evoke really has kind of a chatterbait type feel on that rod. It just vibrates really, really hard, but because it's silent, it's just giving off the water push. So it's a totally unique feel to the fish. They're getting that same vibration they would get with a chatterbait, but without the sound. So it's a great one when the fish are highly pressured. It's a great one when you need to call fish to it. So again, as far as, you know, retrieves and how we're fishing it, the parallel is usually the best way. And then again, I'm just gonna kind of fan cast out. And as I need it to get a little bit deeper in some deeper water, I'm just gonna lower my rod tip closer to the water, let it kind of dive down. Right there, I feel it kind of getting into a tree. I'm just gonna pause for a second, and that bait is gonna lift up super, super quick on me. So then I can just go right up and over that tree. So, you know, if you need a little bit more depth, you can go to the 1.8 or the 2.0. But this 1.2 is a great one for this shore stuff because it's never going to get too deep to really unsnag, right? You can literally put it right on the bank. You can fish it out, you know, everywhere where a fish is going to ambush and lay up in one of these ponds, and you can fish the entire shoreline of your pond in, you know, an hour, hour and a half, and be super, super effective with it. So, you know, hopefully that helps, guys. You know, one other little trick that we'll do a lot of times with these baits, you know, if you guys are fishing a place that you don't have anything to deflect, you know, most of the time you've got some rocks, you've got some weed growth, you know, something to where the bait can, you know, touch it and then either bounce off or kind of, you know, deflect up and around it. But let's say it's just open water, right? I mean, it's kind of just a concrete pond. You know, what if you don't have anything really to deflect? Don't be afraid to utilize the rod to give yourself some kind of action, okay? So whether it's just kind of a lifting up and then pausing, whether it's a kind of couple fast cranks with the reel and then pause, you know, even if it's just moving the rod tip in different directions so that it's altering the course of that bait so that it's going one way and all of a sudden it's darting back the other way, you're giving the bait a hunt, you're building something in, you're causing it to deflect. All you're trying to do is just draw a reaction strike from these fish. So you got to give them some reason why all of a sudden it's doing one thing and all of a sudden it is trying to get away for them to react and bite. So hopefully that's useful. I know if you guys, you know, love shallow cranking like we do, you know, the Evoke is going to become a staple in your arsenal. So, you know, definitely check them out. Guys, appreciate it as always. Thank you for the business. Thank you for the support. If you have any questions, drop it down below and I will get to them. And until next time, peace out. Good luck fishing, everyone.